Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lost in Translation show, where we explore yesterday to help mankind understand what's happening in the world today. I'm Simone, your host, and I hope all of you are enjoying this holiday weekend. It's 4th of July, the big holiday event to celebrate our country and our freedom from the British Crown. So today I have a special guest, a friend who spoke at the state capitol this month, and she had a very inspirational speech. So I've decided to invite her along. So welcome, Tina, and she's just going to give us some words of hope and promise from the founding fathers and other pivotal people in our history. So how are you today, Tina?
I'm good, Simone. Happy Independence Day.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. We've done a lot of things together, and I'm looking forward to hearing your beautiful speech.
Thank you. Well, today we'd like to draw inspiration from the wisdom and understanding of exceptional Americans. These speeches and quotes demonstrate an understanding of the journey that we are on to end democracy and restore the republic. Outside Independence Hall, when the Constitutional Convention of 1787 ended, Mrs. Powell of Philadelphia asked Benjamin Franklin, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" With no hesitation whatsoever, he responded, "A republic, if you can keep it." Benjamin Franklin. Other nations have received their laws from conquerors. Some are indebted for a constitution to the suffering of their ancestors through revolving centuries. The people of this country alone have formally and deliberately chosen a government for themselves, and with open and uninfluenced consent, bound themselves into a social compact. Samuel Adams. The founders knew that a democracy would lead to some kind of tyranny. The term democracy appears in none of our founding documents. Their vision for us was a republic and limited government. Walter E. Williams. Republics are created by the virtue, public spirit, and intelligence of citizens. They fall when the wise are banished from public councils because they dare to be honest, and the profligate are rewarded because they flatter the people in order to betray them. Joseph Story. Republic. I like the sound of the word. It means people can live free, talk free, go or come, buy or sell, be drunk or sober, however they choose. Some words just give you a feeling. John Wayne. Thus was a social compact formed upon the elementary principles of a civil society in which conquest and servitude had no part. The slew of brutal force was entirely cast off. All was voluntary. All was unbiased consent. All was the agreement of soul with soul. It was the first solemn declaration by a nation of the only legitimate foundation of civil government. It was the cornerstone of a new fabric destined to cover the surface of the globe. It demolished at a stroke the lawfulness of all governments founded upon conquest. It swept away all the rubbish of accumulated centuries of servitude. It announced in practical form to the world the transcendent truth of the unalienable sovereignty of the people. It proved that the social compact was no figment of the imagination, but a real, solid, and sacred bond of the social union. From the day of this declaration, the people of North America were no longer a fragment of a distant empire, imploring justice and mercy from an inexorable master in another hemisphere. They were no longer children appealing in vain to the sympathies of a heartless mother, no longer subjects leaning upon the shattered columns of royal promises and invoking the faith of parchment to secure their rights. They were a nation, asserting as of right and maintaining by war its own existence. A nation was born in a day. A new civilization had come. A new spirit had arisen on this side of the Atlantic, more advanced and more developed in its regard for the rights of the individual than that which had characterized the old world. Life in a new and open country had aspirations which could not be realized in any subordinate position. A separate establishment was ultimately inevitable. It had been declared by the very laws of human nature. Man everywhere has an unconquerable desire to be master of his own destiny. John Quincy Adams. Ours is a representative republic with a constitution in which is recognized the natural law and the natural rights of man. It is a republic with a spiritual foundation characterized by freedom. Freedom for the individual and for his society. Ezra Taft Benson. The real menace of our republic is the invisible government, which is like a giant octopus. It sprawls its slimy legs all over our cities, states, and nation. John Francis Hyland. When once a republic is corrupted, there is no possibility of remedying any of the growing evils, but by removing the corruption and restoring its lost principles. Every other correction is either useless or a new evil. Thomas Jefferson. I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. Corporations have been enthroned, and an era of corruption in high places will follow. And the money power of the country will endeavor to prolong its reign by working upon the prejudices of people until all wealth is aggregated in a few hands and the republic is destroyed. Abraham Lincoln. In the history of mankind, many republics have risen, have flourished for a less or greater time, and then have fallen because their citizens lost the power of governing themselves and thereby of governing their state. And in no way has this loss of power been so often and so clearly shown as in the tendency to turn the government into a government primarily for the benefit of one class instead of a government for the benefit of people as a whole. Theodore Roosevelt. In revolutionary times, the cry, "No taxation without representation," was not an economic complaint. Rather, it was directly traceable to the fair and just principle that no sovereign power has the right to govern without the consent of the governed. Anything short of that was tyranny. It was against this tyranny that the colonists fired the shot heard round the world. The American Constitution has set down for all men to see the essentially Christian and American principle that there are certain rights held by every man, which no government and no majority, however powerful, can deny. Conceived in Grecian thought, strengthened by Christian morality, and stamped indelibly into American political philosophy, the right of the individual against the state is the keystone of our Constitution. Every man is free. John F. Kennedy. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. John Adams. I have spent most of my life as a Democrat. I recently have seen fit to follow another course. I believe that the issues confronting us cross party lines. No nation in history has ever survived a tax burden that reached a third of its national income. We haven't balanced our budget 28 out of the last 34 years. We've raised our debt limit 3 times in the last 12 months, and now our national debt is 1.5 times bigger than all the combined debts of all the nations of the world. We are at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said, if we lose that war, and in doing so lose this way of freedom, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are? I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them for ourselves. You and I are told increasingly that we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest that there is no such thing as a left or right. There is only up or down. Up, man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom, consistent with law and order, or down to the ant heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is this road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price that we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. And this is the meaning in the phrase of Barry Goldwater's peace through strength. Winston Churchill said, the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. There's something going on in time and space, and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. Ronald Reagan. It is precisely because America is not a democracy that we have survived. It's precisely because majority rule does have check and balances on it. It's precisely because this is a representative republic that we have survived. Rush Limbaugh. A patriot must always be ready to defend his country against his government. Edward Abbey. The Republic was not established by cowards, and cowards will not preserve it. Elmer Davis. And finally, Patrick Henry. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations and who will raise up friends to fight our battles with us. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat it, sir, let it come. It is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand here idle? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And I don't know what course you may take, but as for me, give me a republic or give me death. Thank you. Happy Independence Day, and may God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. That was a great speech. I got goosebumps, and I've heard it a few times already. So, anyways, I just wanted to thank my viewers. I hope all of you are having a wonderful holiday weekend. Remember, end democracy and restore the republic. This is Simone signing off for today. Always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. This presentation is always made in hopes that never again will the truth be lost in translation. Thank you, and God bless.